Let us now talk about the subject of groups in Webdesk. So as usual, we go into our admin tool here and click on groups, and we can see our groups are defined here, and we can add new groups as necessary, give them a group name, and if we have a SAML integration, we can give them a SAML name. The reason why SAML name is a separate field to group name is because quite often in your AWS instances, the SAML group name will have a very long string of hexadecimal characters, like 20 characters long, and it means absolutely no sense to anybody, that name. So for the AWS integrations, you just can put a human group name up there, and then whatever AWS gives you in your long string of characters, paste that down there. For Active Directory and LDAP, just use the group name there. The group name in Active Directory or LDAP must match the group name in Webdesk. That is how it works. It syncs up your groups essentially. So when a user comes over, a user is brought over with all the groups with them. Every single group that the user is a member of is brought over to Webdesk with their account information when they log in. At that point, Webdesk goes to the groups and matches them up. If it knows about the group, if the group already exists in Webdesk, then they're given access to the applications associated with that group. If the group does not exist in Webdesk, then it just ignores that group membership and keeps on going on its merry way. So, for example, in this instance, we could have thousands and thousands of groups in Active Directory, but if they're a member of root or if they're a member of read-only, then it would inherit those rights to those applications. If they're not a member of any of those, they're just going to get a blank desktop, basically. So you have to know what groups you're using in Active Directory and what groups you're using in LDAP, and just manually enter them into the system. It won't automatically create those groups because that just gets very messy, and you would have thousands of groups in Webdesk. So you create the groups in Webdesk that you're interested in deploying your applications to. Once you've created your groups, obviously the users are automatically going to be members of that group. So the first time they log in, the first time I log in from Active Directory, as you saw in one of our previous videos, it automatically added me to the root group because I was a member of the root group in Active Directory, and so on and so forth. Whatever your group membership is in Active Directory, we mirrored over here. If you're removed from a group in Active Directory, the same thing will happen over here. You'll be removed from the group over here. That then obviously ties into our applications over here. That, based on our group membership, gives us, whatever applications we are going to be deployed in the Webdesk based on our group membership. So groups are tied to applications, and applications are obviously what you see in your desktop. It is as simple as that, working with groups. The main point to remember is you create a group for every group you have on the external system. So if you have a group in AWS that you want on Webdesk, then you create a group in Webdesk using the crazy AWS ID. If you have a group in LDAP, same thing. You create a group in LDAP with the same LDAP name. You don't have to use the SAML name for that. If you have multiple systems, multiple groups with the same function, yes, you would have to create a group for each directory basically, and then tie them to the appropriate applications. That's just the way the system works, unless they happen to be the same. Say if in LDAP we have a group called root, and in Active Directory we have a group called root, and they perform exactly the same function, the system's going to look them up exactly the same. Also, we can do, if we go back to our groups here and take root as an example, very good example in fact, we can see that if you're coming in from AWS, it's going to use that SAML name, and if you're coming in from Active Directory or local LDAP, it's going to use that group name up there, and it will have both functions basically on the same group essentially. But if we have another directory that uses, say group 2, then we'd have to create another group for that. But right now we're just using root and the SAML ID for Active Directory, and it's as easy as that to set up groups in Webdesk. It basically does it all for you.